Hello, everyone. It's Dell here at Waxworks, and I'm going to do a little preview play of Rally Race Core Operations. Okay, this is the first game. It tells you how to race the rally itself. Now, I've did some clarifications. Still got to do a little bit more clarifications in the rules and errata and fixes and whatnot, but just to make it a little bit tighter, make it a little bit more understandable because it is an elephant. So we're going to take this elephant one bite at a time. I'm going to play the simple core loop, segment loop, and so we understand it. I'm not going to add any kind of weather or terrain effects or shifts like that. It's just going to be the base loop. I'll reference to those, you know, to those modifiers while we get through. But we need to step through the game itself here and kind of get a grip on it. Okay, so I'm going to start with play is driven by one recurring question: how hard are you willing to push right now? And that's pretty much key because there's a posture of how you and your team approaches play. And by you and your team, I mean the whole. When you branch this off and add the career portion to it, you've got managers and mechanics and co-drivers and everything that affect you, and they have their own tiers of competency. There's generally three tiers in the game. Well, not generally, specifically, C, B, and A, right, of competence. So depending on who you have on your team is how effective they are at mitigating some stress and damage to your vehicles or your team in between rallies, right, to keep you running good. Now, but this, and you'll see at the end of after we do a rally how these stresses can pile up into wear on your vehicle. I mean, on your team in whole. It's more of a narrative wear. Okay. Um, Table of introduction. We go through how to, introduction, how to play, quick start, rally setup, segment loop, which is the primary key ingredient in what you'll be doing throughout um, the rally, and direct resolution, balanced posture, and conservative posture, and aggressive posture with the direct resolution. And then you've got balance decay, and direct resolution is when you play. There's basically a linear table that you roll on, but there's also a direct table that you'll roll on to get a resolution to resolve a segment, and there are two mechanical differences. Direct resolution is when you roll on a bell curve to try to get toward the center of the bell curve. Obviously, when you roll in 2d6, this 7 is the direct center. You have more of a chance to get into that center, and that's more of a controlled driving. But if you veer off course, if you veer off that center of driving, things become worse, right? So there's uh, more pressure, more. I shouldn't be using these words like this because they mean certain things. The words are a little bit abstracted, but there's more stress that incurs on your team as you're pushing toward your goal. There's also pace. So we'll get to that in a second. But you got direct resolution, and you got balance decay. Now, it's this balance decay because as we go back here, we get aggressive posture, balanced posture, and conservative posture. Balanced posture is probably the posture that splits the difference between pace and potential damage. So it's it gets you where you need to go, and it does stress your team out. So you may need to back off and go more conservative, but you'll lose pace doing so. If you go more aggressive, you'll gain more pace, but then you'll lose more um, of your team's. Um, yeah, you gain more strain. Okay, on your team. So the balanced posture is probably the posture that of choice, so to speak, and that's what people rubber band back to. But this game, when you're in that balanced posture and you remain in it, you're going to build up pressure. And when you build up pressure, you have stability issues. Oh, and it ultimately gets to your center band removal, which is basically what you're rolling on a chart. The 7 is no longer there, so you're not hitting perfectly, like I said, on that bell curve. The center area that you can roll on is no longer available to you. In fact, if you roll it, it shifts one to the side. You see what I'm saying? So it has a little bit more rougher um, resolution than an optimal resolution of hitting the center of that band is no longer available. So if you maintain that balanced position, that posture for too long, it'll build up pressure and you'll lose stability, and then you'll lose access to the center band, and the only way you can reset that stability is to go off posture. Either go conservative for a minute, or for one segment, or either aggressive for one segment, and it resets that center band to resets the stability boxes back to 0, and then you can switch back to balanced. So, but it's all about a game of pushing, like it says. How willing are you to push right now? How hard you going to push? Other cars are pushing and trying to get there with you. When you're playing this game, there can be multiple people that are there representing their team and rolling and trying to hit that bell curve center to get optimal play, and deciding what posture they want to approach and which chart to roll on at each segment. And there's 6 segments in the base game that we're playing on. 4 for sprint and 8 for endurance, but 6 is the standard. So when you go from segment to segment and you're accruing stress on your vehicle, and you're trying to back off, and you're trying to push a little bit, and you can't just stay at balanced. You need to reset in some way, shape, or form. Now, if you add terrain and weather to it, which we're not going to do that now, it becomes you can gain extra stress, like a +1 of stress, so to speak. So you're building that up, and it becomes more so of an issue to where you have to be a little bit more conservative more than you would be aggressive, because you'll rack up some stress quick. Anyway, I mean that just affects you about how it makes you drive with a little bit more tamer posture or selection for each segment. In the rally, you determine your finish, you apply your wear, which this is ultimately what is getting for every rally you do. Whenever you're building up stress, like if you get 0, finish that rally with 0 to 3 stress, then you got 0 wear. If you go for a little bit more, it's segmented to where you will get wear. And if you get 10 wear in the career mode, you've got to retire. You see, so it can build up easily. So it's best to try to last through these rallies. That's what it's all about. It's not about necessarily winning. It's about how far you can go. How far you can go, when you need to be conservative, when you need to push, and how you want to finish this thing as close as you can. And hopefully you get in a winning position. Now, I'm getting a little ahead of myself when I'm talking about this. I guess I can go through here one at a time. But when you create your team, okay, your team's sheet, it's in the back of the book. You just list your team. Rally setup, there's going to be a rally It should be. I think you haven't looked at this book for a while, but yeah, I think it set up the rallies and different races that you can be in and whatnot. Uh, the names of them, tournaments. If I didn't, I sure worked on it and didn't add it. But anyway, we'll get to that eventually. I'll look at that. But we're going to stay on the core right now. Just a base rally game. Rally setup. Choose event format, which we just say it isn't going to be sprint, but just an average event with like 6. Terrain, weather, and your tier. Now, what tier means is like when you've got a multitude of cars racing in this event. You get, let's say 30 cars, right? So let's say here's C and B and A tiers of competency and backing in this event. And if you choose C, you're the back of the pack. You're jockeying for position and control in the back section, the last 30. You're trying to get at least to the upper levels and get enough resignation, or not resignation, but recognition to be able to jump to the B tier and fight amongst it with those boys. And you want to climb that ladder and get to the A tier. So it's a long format, and that's where eventually, like I said, when it goes back to wear, you got to pace yourself and make sure that you don't wear out your team and retire at that point. So you've got to keep yourself alive, and that's the whole thing of when you're racing a rally. You don't want to accrue so much stress that you can't relieve it. And that's one thing you can do in between rallies with your team. You can mitigate some of this thing that you have, but you can only have so many. You will have narratively all your team members, but the only ones that really are effective are the, even like when you get openings to select various team members of a higher tier, a higher competency, so they can mitigate more damage or more wear or whatever, to where you can keep yourself rolling and keep your team rolling. You got to pick and choose which team members you want. You've got a limited amount of resources that you can plug those team members in there, and which ones do you want, and what effects do they bring to the team in between these rallies to be able to have you go forward. And this all in the career. It kind of makes it long term, but like the core game is about the rally itself and how that's conducted. But eventually, how it all ties in with the main core rolls over into between these. Like the career segment is literally the in between rally segments, and how you resolve and relieve stress and pressure and wear off your team, and kind of reset some of those where you can get back in the race and it doesn't build up or overbuild up. And while you're racing, you're responsible to not push so hard that you can't be redeemed or saved by your team in the middle of the rallies. You can't get back on. So yeah, it is a push of luck. It's roll your dice and find out how you handle each segment, where you're going, where you need to, and try to place. You can try to place better, and you'll get more recognition to be able to open up more tiers for more team members, for better team members to be able to elevate you throughout, these tiers from C to B to A, on the national front, so like regional, you start at the base, you work at regionally, and then you're on a national A tier as far as like your main teams that you're dealing with. And they can all be in, a rally race, but yeah, it's climbing that ladder. Whenever I talk about we talk about resolving segment play. As you can see, this is a big game, so I'll easily divert off into the larger scale of it, but I need to focus on just the rally. But some of the work I did here was to be more, especially in the game where, or the book where both games are in at the same time. There's more of a tie-in reference to one and the other, more so than the individual purchases. If you can purchase the core, you purchase the career by itself. I tried to limit references to the career and the core in those games, but in this, I reference them a little bit more readily, so because they're in the same book. Okay, resolve rally segments. You play a loop. That's the core gameplay, like I'm saying, and record the rally results. Apply your pace. Every time you roll on the chart, it'll tell you your pace, whether it's a plus or it's a negative, whether you're falling behind or you're getting more pace. You know, pace in the race. You know, you're in first place or second or third according to how many pace points you have within your tier, right? Strain is basically strain overall, and in strain it basically, like I said, equips to wear, and wear is like the overall for your team that goes from rally to rally and builds up. You hit 10, your whole team's uh, having to retire, period. If your strain reaches inside of a rally, if your strain reaches 10, you did not finish, right? So sometimes it's better than not if it keeps you from something else. But in general, your strain is going to translate to wear, and that's going to affect your reputation. So we have to go through those steps, but the wear and the reputation are the carryovers that affect in the career mode from rally to rally, right? So it comes a little bit later. Resolve rally outcome, determine the finishing order and consequences, right? And we'll get to that in a second. Between rally sequences, like I mentioned here, again, rivalries, recovery, when you're recovery on your team, whenever you use your resources, your team, to be able to mitigate some damages to your overall team. That's what there's for. And tier review is just a point to where if it opens up different areas where you can bring on another higher tier team member who's more capable at mitigating more damage to your team. Ever feel lost? Return to this list. So it kind of orientates you on those processes. Resolving rally outcomes is important to get to soon here. Okay, how to play rally race. This game is played one rally at a time. It's broken into short segments where you must decide how much risk to take in each segment. The game does not reward perfect driving. It rewards judgment under pressure. It's a pressure luck game. And you got to know that in the immediacy of the rally itself is one layer that you have to look at. But you also have to look at, like I said, when stress is turned into wear that is long-term on your team, that builds too. So it's definitely a couple of layers that you have to consider whenever you decide how far you push. If a team is just going and pushing down to the last second, yet they're accruing so much wear that it affects their team to large, and they don't have the team members to mitigate it. That's what's keeping them in a lower tier. Once you get more competent team members and then you're able to play on a higher tier, higher level of play, B to A. And that's the whole point of it. It's a bit of a legacy-like campaign to take your team and its whole history through their career as you go. Okay, you're not trying to win every segment. You're trying to finish the rally without breaking the team. There you go. What you do as a player, you make one important decision every segment: how you are driving right now. Everything else in the system exists to apply pressure to that decision. Clear your posture, roll the dice, accept the consequences. Okay, what success looks like. Success in rally race is situational. Sometimes success means winning the rally. Often it means surviving without major damage. In longer play, like I'm talking about the step, the campaign play. In longer play, success means staying relevant long enough to matter. So you want to build a little history with your team and how long they mattered and how they affected things. This is the narrative juice of the whole long-term game. A team that finishes consistently will outlast a team that pushes too hard. Like I said earlier, what failure looks like is not binary. You can fail a segment, fail a rally, or fail to protect the team. Retiring from a rally is a setback, not the end of play. How you fail shapes what happens next. The consequences shape what comes next. Okay. I'm not going to read every word of this moving forward here, but that does set up a little bit of a precedence to follow by and be mindful of as we move forward through this. Quick start. Basically, you play with the two, you got your sheets to write down your information. A pace log is critically important. Yeah, like I said, for right now, what we're going to be doing is like 6 segments. So we got these 6 paces, and we're going to record any strain, and we're going to record our pace, which is basically the race, the pace you make within the race, where you're located, right? Higher points, the better. You're moving quicker along that path. You're more, you're making better time, basically. One team sheet, just some basic information. That's all in the back. And all right, set up the rally. We choose a standard event. I say I'm going to play along with this right down on the sheet here. 6 segments. Choose the terrain. I'm going to do gravel because it's not anything that I have to. There's no modifiers. There's no negative modifiers that carry over right now. So we're going to keep it basic, keep it simple for this because I'm doing a lot of reading on these rules, and we'll just play it that way without factoring those in. So we'll choose gravel, and then we'll choose like just a normal day where there's no adverse weather effects. It also has negative, this could cause you to shift postures, or it could cause, extra pressure or different situations. It's whatever the table says. Okay, fill out the red. Okay, we need to play a segment here. So the first, what we do is declare posture, aggressive, balanced, or conservative. It's the A, B, C's. I line them up that way, says it can be easily remembered. No, balance may decay under pressure. This is balanced only. Anytime you go to conservative or aggressive, if you're there, you don't need to resolve any kind of balance decay, which that'll mention balance decay, and you think that it's applicable in conservative or aggressive, but it's not. It's only applicable if you've reached enough stress and while maintaining a balance for multiple segments. You're ticking those boxes off, and then you'll have to be shifted off that center band. That 7 won't become available to you. So it'll make it where it's harder to achieve those best results. You have to switch off a little bit. Either go conservative and, play it safe, but more so of a chance of losing pace and falling behind, or go aggressive. You could get ahead with some controlled strain, but more or less you're going to have some strain that's going to affect your team. So you say it'll be further complicated with weather and terrain effects too, but we're not using that right now. But you can see how, depending on what you've accrued so much in strain or by that time, like if you're on the 4th segment and you have to switch off or aggressive, otherwise you're going to be, your balance is going to decay. Your balance posture will decay to where you're not being able to roll in the center. You need to reset that. So you need to switch for a second. It's like your focused attention at staying at that balance has to be shifted. So at least for one segment, you shift off of it. This, even whenever you're, in some of the weather effects or whatever, fog or whatever, it'll cause you to shift off of balance for one, right? Or wherever you're rolling on. Anyway, roll the dice. You roll 2d6. You apply results. Find your results on player resolution table that matches your posture. Apply the listed pace and strain. Record both on the pace log. Okay. We check retirement. Finish rally. Okay, but anything. These little tips here. You're not trying to win every segment. Strain is dangerous than being behind. Conservative play is never wrong when survival matters. Push off the brake. Go a little easy on it. If she's falling apart, Captain. And you play that way. So basically, what we're going to do here, I should say, there's an important part. See, I'm just re-going through this stuff like rally setup. It's more. We've already spoken about this all stuff, but it goes into more detail about the sprint, endurance, and standard events. In the segments that they last. Choosing the terrain, gravel, tarmac, snow and ice, rough desert, and what it does, where it accumulates faster. Um, Determine weather. Yeah, and this comes out on the charts that you're rolling. Determine whether you roll it, right? Like I said, I'm doing a clear day in gravel because gravel is baseline conditions. There's no alterations, just so we can roll segments and learn that way before we even delve into terrain and weather modifiers. Choose the tier. Now, this tier begins at tier B, in the base game, right? If you're just doing a rally, do tier B. But I would suggest, like to me, if I want a full career, like I'm starting from the bottom tier, I'm going to start at C, and I'm going to work my way up to tier B, and then work my way to tier A. Now I can start at tier B because I could always lose pace and have to slip back to tier C and work my way back up to tier B, and try to see if I can get to A. To finish my career out. I'm just a tier B driver or what? What's going to occur? So there's nothing wrong. Excellent advice. Just start at tier B. But I think I would just do. I could go to tier B, but I might just start at tier C. Okay, for the heck of it. We're still inside of our tiers. You're basically racing those that are inside of your tiers. And if you line up, say we've got 4 drivers inside of each tier, and I'm one of them, and I've got 3 other main teams that are racing around my competency level. Okay, and then we got 4 in each. What I do is, and we go into the core mechanics segment loop here. This is the main details of how you're doing it and how you're checking for, which I need to switch that to 10 plus. Check for DNF. But in how you do all of the core mechanics here, when strain reaches 3 or higher, like I said, when you're rolling on that, you'll see that you incur strain as well as pace, whether it's positive or negative pace. And strain, every segment is gonna build. Once you hit 3 strain or higher, or whether it could be fog, it's gonna add pressure. Okay, this is if you're staying imbalanced. It's going to add pressure to your box, and every time you roll and use that pressure, it's going to build up. You're going to have to tick a box, and when you get to the stop, the top, those boxes ticked off, you're going to be rolling on a chart with a loss of the center 7. All right. Okay, this is what I'm getting at right here, because this is the charts you roll on. Okay, so you do the 2d6 bell curve. This is for you as a driver. Okay, if you wanted to play from like a team owner, you could roll. This is the direct resolution table. Again, we talk about balance decay here, like if you maintain it, but you reset your stability with those stability top boxes. If you're tier C, you're only ticking off 2 stability boxes before your balance is decayed, and you're having to roll on that. Roll on this. So right here in the center, balance posture. If this little asterisk is removed when stability is full. When these stability boxes are checked off, if you're staying in balance decay, if you got at least 3 strain or a weather situation, you're under pressure. The pressure's on. You can only do this, if you're tier C, you can only do it twice. For 2 segments. The next segment, if you stay in balance without resetting to aggressive and conservative, you're going to lose that center of 6 and 8. So you roll a 6 or an 8, it's going to be You know, you roll that. Roll that. It's gonna eliminate those two, and it's gonna either be a 9 or 10 or 4 or 5. You know, it's gonna default to that depending on which side you land on. Um, Now balance decay, stability track, and then we go to reselling stability. Co-driver interaction. Now added this. This is this is the only teammate that really affects you in play, and it doesn't become fully active until the career mode. So when you got a co-driver, if that is one of the team members that has a certain tier of competency that matters more so and can shift to a larger degree, because you always narratively have a co-driver, then it will uh, modify. It delays your stability, right? So instead of being ticked off so soon, you can hold your stability a little bit longer before you have to erase that center band. You can still utilize it depending on your tier of capacity capability of your co-driver that you're driving with. So if you invest as a team, invest in getting a good co-driver, then you're going to get that laid on to you. But the other team members, which we'll get to later, they mitigate uh, bad effects or or the downtime in between rallies to reset your vehicle. So it's all a resource management game, and it's a pressure cooker um, of a pressure luck type game system. And you get new information every time you roll. The situation changes, so you have to go, choose what you want to do on every segment to try to make it through, the rally in the best position you can to gain reputation, to get more sponsorship that opens more doors to better teammates. But you can't screw yourself up. You may, like even, if you lose, it's not necessarily about winning every race. It's about surviving every race as best as you can. All right, here we go. Okay, this is structural resolution. So if in this example, I'm going to be playing as a driver. All right, so I'm playing with the bell curve. I got three. I'm trying to hit that center band on the bell curve, like 6, 7, and 8 are the center, and that's where I want to be. +1 pace, +1 strain. As you see, as you drop it, you get more aggressive. You're going to get more strain when you roll, even in the center, but you'll get more pace too. When you drop down here to conservative posture, you're going to be getting, +0 strain on some of them, +1 pace. You might lose some pace on the lower numbers, So it just depends what you roll. But if I've got, like I stated, 4 drivers in my tier of the pack, right? If I'm starting at tier C and there's 12 teams in this rally, I'm rolling on 2 different things for the others inside of my tier. The other 3 teams, if they're not literally manned by a human being that wants to be from the position of a driver and use the 2d6, you can use the structural resolution, and that's a linear. From the bottom, it's worse. We got +3 strain as opposed to +3 or -3 pace. You lose 3 pace, you fall behind, and you get more strain. Major loss of control. It's 2d6, but at 12, yeah, strain -1. Look at there. You've regained some of the pressure on your team. It's come back. Pace is +3. So when you roll these for each team outside of your own, for every segment, you're going to find out what, how they fared in comparison to you. So when you're driving, you're going to be from the driver's seat, as it were, using the bell curve back here. You're going to have more of in the moment, segment to segment choices and decisions you make, instead of just simply rolling a resolution here. Which, if you wanted to probably like a manager of a team or whatever, you could roll this structural resolution for your own team. It really doesn't matter. It's just a little bit quicker way to resolve. And whenever you're rolling, you can roll this for the members of your team. Pace and strain is examined here. Again, pace is how fast you're going. Strain is how much stress your team is under. Determine survival. Strain and retirement. This goes over when you, if you ever get to 10 strain in a rally, the moment you do, you have to roll 1d6. 5 or 6, the team survives. You still get 10 strain. You're holding on. The next segment, you have to roll again. 1 to 4, do not finish. Immediately retire from the race. The environment, we go over here like wet, additional strain when aggressive. That's how wet. Like whenever you go into aggressive posture, you're going to get, enroll it, you'll get a +1 on every strain. That fog is going to pressure you up on your balance decay, so it'll add more pressure to that and get you the balance decay quicker. Hold on. Field resolution is what I was trying to get to. A rally includes many teams. You don't track all of them in detail. Okay, I got 2 things here. The field resolution. That's what I was just mentioning. The teams that are like inside of your tier. Are those in your active tier? All right. Reference you back to page 8. Field teams outside of your active tier are resolved abstractly using structural resolution when required. So if you want to know what's going on outside of your tier, your immediate, if you're in tier B, you want to know what's going on in tier C or tier A and how they've been resolved, you roll the peripheral field tables. Okay. So if you need any kind of information about how they're being resolved, you roll on that same up here, the same chart, right? And find out what they're doing. But ultimately, what you're doing is focused on your tier, and when you get to the top or bottom of it, if you have to fall out of your, if you lose recognition of brand or, sponsorship or anything, and you fall behind, like if you start with B, fall behind the C, you got to work your way back up, get to the top of tier C, and you're back into tier B. So it's just about climbing that ladder. So and seeing ultimately where you finish. So that's the difference between your immediate active field resolution and in your peripheral tiers. Outside, only roll field tables for tiers outside of your active tier when the outcome would meaningfully affect one of the following: promotion, relegation pressure, redemption of sponsorship expectation. This all goes into the career thing. That's why it's not necessarily, but if you need to know, it's there. Rivalries, you can add that for spice if you want to. I can make another one of, one of the teams in our tier a rival, and it may, sharpen your decision making, or maybe make you push where you wouldn't otherwise, or whatever, just for some narrative juice. End of the rally, you determine the finishing order. You apply the wear, like I said, 0 to 3 strain. If you finish that rally with that, you're gonna have 0 wear. 4 to 6, you're gonna have 1 wear for your whole team. 10 plus, 3 wear. In career mode, after applying wear, check your total wear. 7 to 8, you're critical for the team. 9 is a wear check. 10 is retirement. So a wear check is similar to the same test up here, where you have to roll, and then you may have to retire at that point in time. That's when you're in your career. But all of this, I won't get into this till we get to the other part. So anyway, even go over endurance events. Um, and here again, a lot of this I'll repeat, but a quick reference flow. You declare posture, apply your posture shift. Roll 2d6, apply pace and strain. If balanced under pressure, mark your stability. So if you're still choosing balance and you're under pressure, which means you got 3 strain, or a weather effect is putting you under pressure, you got to tick off those stability boxes. And once they're fully ticked, that's when your decay happens. Only on the balanced track. To reset it, you got to go off of balance. It's needed, otherwise people would just stay in balance, and that's because it's most optimal. So there needs to be a decay in balance to where it forces you to have to shift up a little bit, have to pull back. You're pushing too hard for too long, whatever the case is. Assess state and continue to the next segment. The assessing state, just where you're currently at. Go to the next segment. You got the information in your head, and you can make the next posture declaration for for what you want. But anyway, it's really simple as far as like just rolling through 6 segments. And here we got the rally entry, weather terrain reference here again at the back of the sheet. Team sheet, which is just career phase. Say start rookie, established, veteran, and then your decline. You'll know when you get to the point of being a veteran and you start slipping and falling back. So this felt in game. Reputation tier, you climb that and you're opening doors to team members, like I said. Anyway, at the rival, and the tags are a little bit different. Like if it's a brand tag as far as like for your vehicle. It's tier on a national tier level. Sponsor. Anyway, so we go to the pace log right here. All right. So this A, B, C, like I said, is aggressive, balanced, and conservative. So we roll. We put our space, our pace, strain, total pace, just add it up, and total strain. It's simple. You got segments. I got them listed down to 8 here, but in a regular, that's for endurance, but you go to 6. So each one of these, you'll fill it out. If you've got like this is your stability track. Like I said, if you're racing and you're staying at the balanced, or if you're at balance, once you get, no matter if you're aggressive or anything like that, once you get 3 stress, all of a sudden you've got pressure on you. So every time you stay, you go back to balance and use it, it puts a tick on your box. It resets back to 0 once you go off of balance. Then you get back on balance, 1, stay balanced for another, and then after that, your balance is decayed to where you can't use the center. You're just increasingly at a loss of control, basically, stability. Like I said, a co-driver, once you open up the career and all that, can help mitigate that. If indeed he is one of your members that is a prime member of a higher tier that can help you mitigate that and remain in in the race longer and remain at balance, which is optimal longer. That gives you better pace for less stress. And this is why the people in the upper tiers, B and A, are able to maintain like they do to be in that tier, because they have the more competent team members to uphold them. All right. That's pretty much the gist of the whole thing. We're going to roll out a race here. Hold on. Get back up to my tables. Okay. I'm going to start. Let's say I'm team random racing. Speaking like that because I'm writing it down. 6 segments. Okay. The other people in my tier will say like wood Woodbine Motors. Okay, then Titan Engineering, and Windmere. Little dungeon time for you there. Windmere Racing. Okay, now I'll resolve those with the structural resolutions on those teams after I do myself, and then we'll see where my team lands on this. So the first segment, I'm rolling 2d6. I've got 7. Look at there, perfect. A 6 and a 1. Getting asked for better. All right, so I'm at balanced posture. 6 or 7 right in the center. Competitive pace. I got +1 strain and +1 pace. Okay, so pace +1. All right. Now, I can stay in here because I don't have any pressure yet. I won't have any pressure, and it's a clear day, right? So I don't have this fog issue. I don't have anything. So it's a clear day. I won't have any pressure build up on me to where it starts ticking off my boxes in balance until I get at least 3, and after that. So I know I can stay for 3 segments. I can stay in a balanced posture, or I can try to push and get a little bit ahead of the game and try to maybe get myself a little bit more pace. Okay, but it'll come at the detriment of strain here. So I think I'm gonna stay at balanced posture and roll again. Okay, that's not necessarily good. This is 11. 11. So I've got +1 pace and then 2 strain. All right, I'm at 3 strain right now. All right, but I'm at pace is 2. I'm entering the third. I'm almost the halfway point in this rally. Now, the pressure's on me right now. So I know when I roll this, it's going to tick off this one box. And I'm at tier C. I said I started at that. And if you recall, that tier C has 2 boxes right here, tier C. Each team has a stability track of that. So when pressure is on the team, like I'm 2 segments into this rally race, pressure's on me, it's going to start filling up these boxes. Now I can stay here because I can do that for 2 more turns before it would affect the posture. So I would just need to switch off of that posture to be able to get back to, to eradicate that. So basically, it's only going to cause me to need to do that on a clear day once, right? So I'm going to stay at balanced. All right, I got 8. 8 at balanced is, look at that, 1 + 1. It's good. It's not bad. Okay. I am at 3 pace. And strain is at 4. 4. Yeah, the pressure's on. But you got to remember, see, I need to think about how much strain I am putting on the team. Because if you recall, as far as wear, whenever I get 0 to 3, there's 0 wear that's accumulated to my team. So if I don't want to boost that, I'm going to be always incurring some kind of strain. And then that just translates to the end of the rally how it affects wear on my team, right? So this initial core game is mainly concerned with the rally itself, but when you expand into the career, it affects you long term, and these decisions become more weighty when you're playing this game. Um, it's not just for an immediate who wins, who losses, but there's like the whole game is about like controlling is damage control. That's what rally racing is. It's damage control while you're racing to try to do as best you can without things falling apart, and maintaining control over the team. So that's what's so intriguing to me about the whole sport. Um, okay, now we just finished half of this race. I have no clue where the other guys are, right? Everybody starts from a little bit different position. We're trying to do the best we can. We'll see where they wind up and where I wind up inside of the CRT bracket. All right, I'm going to 4. I rolled a 5. Ugh. And I'm still on balance. I'll let you know if, I'm going to remain on balance unless I say it outright. I should have been saying it beforehand, declare my posture, but in my head. For 4 or 5, I'm at a -1 pace and +1 strain. So now my strain is up to 5. And my pace has dropped down from 3 to 2 again. So I've fallen behind in my pace. Ugh, that's not what I want. So you see, as I'm playing, I'm getting new information. What do I need to do? I've got a little bit of anxiousness. I don't know where the other teams are. I want to build up as much pace as possible with as less strain, but I'm not doing so well. I'm just got +2 pace right now, where it should be +4, I think. Anyway, and I'm going into the last 2 segments, last 2 legs of this race. Now, aside from that, I've had 2 boxes clicked off right now. My third, I've had to click this. I'm tier C. So this is marked out because after, remember I gained 2 strain in the second leg of that second segment. So that put me up to 3 strain, which put me in pressure. So my third segment, I was at strain, I was at pressure, and I rolled it, so that filled that up. And then my 4th segment, I still rolled it balanced, and it filled it up. Now I can stay at balanced and roll here without this. So essentially, what it comes down to is that when I roll this, it'll default to either one of these. All right. Whichever side it falls on. If not, but for me to reset it, I can ignore this and save the center band and go more conservative. But like I was saying here, right now I'm at just +2 pace and 5 strain. 5 strain has got me up to 1 wear. Let's look at my wear track over here. Okay. Oh, there it is. Wear. So 4 to 6, I get 1 wear. If I finish this rally with 1 wear, that'll add toward my whole team's wear for their career. If I can back it off and get 3 strain, maybe and get 0 wear, it would be amazing. But it looks like I'm at 1 wear. I don't want to push that up to 7 and get 2 wear. So the last thing I need is to add, I'm at 5 strain right now. I get 2 more segments. If I add 1 strain per segment, I'll be at 7 and I'll get 2 wear after I finish this rally onto my 10 total that my team can suffer. That's where you have to make decisions in the long game. So I'm gonna go back up here and okay. Right now it's already, this balance decay is activated. I've clicked off my 2 boxes. If I stay in balanced posture, this is not available to me. If I move off of it, there's a danger, but if I move back conservative, there's less chance of me gaining any kind of pace, right? There's more chance of me losing pace. All right, there's still chance of me losing pace, in the aggressive, but there's a larger chance of me gaining more so pace. If I hit 10 or 11, gaining pace, but I'm also gaining strain. So what do I do here? See, this is the beauty of the game. It's like it puts you in the team mindset of when you're driving this vehicle, how far you need to push, whether you're going to push too far, whether you're going to put too much wear on your team. So I might need to do conservative posture right now. Even though I still could get 0 pace and +3 strain, overstressed hesitation. Okay, so this is dangerous. I mean, at most I'll come out with 0-0, but I don't want to hit that 7 and put it 2 wear on my team if I can help it. So I may just settle for a less of a pace, even though currently all I've got is +2 on the pace, right? So I don't know how I'll fare on that, but I'm gonna go right now just to not suffer the balance posture and do this. So maybe I can hit in the middle. I certainly don't need to get as much strain to going that aggressive using aggressive posture. So I'm gonna go back to conservative posture and roll this sucker. Let's see what I get. Oh my God! Oh, say it's 7. It's 7. Look, that's perfect. It's load off. It's +0 and +0. That's the 5th segment of the game. So right now I'm still at 2 +2 pace, and I'm at 5 strain. So I can keep it from. Right now I know that I can take one more strain without it going into 2 wear, because the strains aren't going to reset once I go to the next rally. So I just don't need it to trick over into 2 wear. Right, so right now at most I can get 1 strain. I have reset. Now I can go back to a balanced posture. I slowed down there. I got lucky enough not to incur any kind or lose pace. Just imagine if I'd hit a 2 or 3 and lost my +2 pace and gained 1 more strain. That'd have been horrendous. But steady progress. I slowed up, did some good driving, affected that. And you can see where a co-driver right now, he would have let me remain in balanced posture without that decay hitting me a little bit longer if I would have had a good co-driver. Still got one, but it's more of a narrative co-driver. So right now we're at the last segment of this, segment 6. And I'm going back to balanced posture because it's reset. These tiers are empty now. If you have a little marker, go back to 0. But all you have to do is step off of balanced once and get back to balance to do this last segment and try to make something good of it. And this 6 through 8 opens up for me again. So hopefully I can get that 1 strain, but make it up to 3+ pace. And I think I'll finish this rally in fairly good shape. There we go. Okay, it is 9. This strong control push. It is 1 strain. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I got 2. I couldn't ask for better. It's 6 strain right now. I'm finishing the rally with 6 strain. I didn't push it over into 7 to get 1. That's 1 wear it'll be. And I just doubled my pace. Very strong finish with a 4. 4 pace, 6 strain, 1 wear. So you see how that is how you do this. Now I'm going to go to, as far as like the center 2d6. I couldn't be happier with that. +4 pace. That's strong. That's finishing strong. 6 strain. Yeah. Put a little wear on the team, but maybe we can offset that. That's livable. Now we're going to go to the structural resolution for the other teams. Okay. Now I'm going to go with Woodbine Motors. And see what they do. All right, their first segment. Excuse me for a second. I'm writing all the segments for all the teams. Woodbine motors. All right, 2d6. This is a linear roll. I rolled a 6. 6 is -1 pace plus 1 strain. So -1 pace plus 1 strain. All right, not good for them. Not a good start, buddy. It's a minor error. They just had a little hiccup off at the start. Segment 2 for them is 6. 6 is exactly the same. -1. So they're -2 right now in pace and a +2 strain. All right, then we go into third segment for Woodbine motors. 8. We're looking at +1 pace and 0 strain. So they've gained a little bit more, managed to control themselves, but they were at -3 pace. So they were at -3, so now they're at -2. At least they're gaining a little bit more ground from falling back so far at the start. They've had a rough start. We roll for the fourth segment, which it was 0, so it's still +2 strain on the team. They've had a rough go of it. 5, it isn't good. It's linear. Anytime you roll low, so there's -1 pace plus 1 strain. They are at, again, slip back, fall back in a -3 pace, and they're at +3 strain. Let's go to segment 5 for them. That is 12. Exceptional control. I guess somebody got on somebody's rear end there, and they have a -1 strain, reduced their strain down to 2 from 3, and they've outpaced themselves, a +3. This puts them back at 0 for pace. They're, you could say they're on pace, but they're not ahead of the game. You know what I'm saying? So they made up a lot of ground and controlled a lot of stress. So that team pulled it together there. Now the last segment is 7. And 7 is 0 and 0. They will finish 0 +2 strain. And like I said, +2 strain equals 0 wear for them, because you can get up to 3 strain without triggering wear. So this team has 0 wear. They're carrying over 0 wear, and they finished at 0 pace. So they've been at par. Just making it on par. Recognize that. All right. So I get a +1 on the pace, a +4 on the pace, right? Strain, but I'll take that anytime. I'm going to Titan Engineering and see what they do on the first segment of this race. It's 3, not good at all. They got -2 pace and +3 strain. Gee whiz, man. They're having a rough go of it too. No wonder Tier C. I roll a 5. That's -1 pace. So they go down to a -3 pace, and they got a +1 strain. So they're up to +4 strain and a -3 pace. They must have been wrapped up with Woodbine before Woodbine broke up from them. We'll see what happens here. Third segment is a 4. They got a -2 pace, which brings them down to a -5 pace. They're falling way behind time. Probably going to be lapped or passed up. Yeah, that was 4 and then +2 more strain. So it's 6 strain. They're already at 1 wear. If they get 1 more strain, they're at 2 wear. All right, so it isn't good for Titan Engineering. Not doing good at all. I'm roll again for 3. This is only getting worse. 3 is -2, +2. So they're at -7 pace and 8 strain. They're now at 2 wear for their team to carry over. They're just slipping behind. Like I said, it's about doing what you can, holding it together, doing what you can as a team. Because you can easily, if you started a career where you're at Tier B, and that's why I put it in that way in the game, because you can fall back and go back into Tier C, have to fight your way back up. So it's suggested you start at Tier B, but you can start at Tier C if you really want to kind of start it from the bottom anyway, because you still fall back. It's just a little bit harder to fall. So I would say that's a little bit more difficult mode. Right now we're going into the fifth segment of Titan Engineering stretch. They're already at -7 pace, +8 strain. Okay, a little bit better here. There's 8. They get a +1 pace and 0 strain, so they stay at 8 strain and -7 pace. At least they didn't fall behind, which is amazing in their case. So here we go. 5. 5 here is -1 pace. So they finish at a -8 pace, really behind, and another +1 strain, which is +9 strain. Let's see what this makes in wear. Okay, 9. You see what I mean? They're lucky they didn't hit 10. If they would have hit 10, they would immediately had to roll and see if they did not finish. So they basically finish with 2 wear. Hold on. Wrote that in the wrong area. So they basically finish with okay, a 2 wear and a -8 pace. So far they're in last place. So we'll see. We got one more to go. Windmere Racing. See if they can provide some kind of some kind of contest to me. All right, that's 5. We're going to start out their first segment at 5, which we need to get right back up here to this structure resolution table. And at 5 is -1 pace, +1 strain. So they start off a little bit late with 1 strain. 2, we got 6 here. So the same. They're -2 pace, 2 strain. Third is 5. The same. They're just slipping bit by bit. 3 and 3. All right. Here we go. Fourth segment. I've got another 5. Just rolling low for these suckers. -4 pace and 4 strain. All right, it's a little bit better. It's 8. So it's +1 pace, 0 strain. So they're a -3 pace right now, down from -4, and still at a 4 strain. Which that is, at least they got a 1 wear on their team. Here we go. In the last segment for Windmere Racing is 2. That's major loss of control right at the end. Right at the end, they get +3 strain, which puts them at +7. And then they've got -3 pace, fell behind, which pushes them at a -6. It doubles their negative pace. Oh, geez. So this pushes them into, I believe, 7 on the wear. 7. It pushes them right from 6 up into 7 and 2 wear. That rolls over for their team. All right, so right now we got Windmere Racing is wear of 2, and they're at -6 pace. So I outpaced everyone in that. So in our section here, our area of the pack, we got Branham Racing, two would be two would be gee whiz, Windmere Racing, even though they it looks like Titan Engineering and Windmere Racing. Woodbine is number 2. They came out dead even, zero pace, and they had zero wear. So they look good moving forward, even though they got second place. Even with a zero pace, they just dead even. But so I even incurred, our team incurred one wear moving forward. Woodbine, zero wear, but they were second place. So Woodbine Motors. Third is Windmere Racing. They were -6 pace, so they did not make but they still incurred more wear than us. Something happened critically bad on that field for them. So both of those last two teams, and then Titan Engineering, still incurred two wear, and they finished -8 in the pace. So really, not so much a Titan as they propose. Anyway, so that's what you're looking for. So when you roll over to the next rally, and when you get into careers, you're going to have uh, team members that's going to mitigate some of this effects. And the co driver is the only one who like does it in rally, right? Who mitigates effects in rally, but you can certainly get him. But we'll look into how sponsorship opens up and how you know things like reputation affects you and your team moving forward, and opens up more doors for higher tiered team members to be able to mitigate some of this as you move through. But it's all about um, pressing for advantage, knowing when to push and when to hold back, and to hold your team together for the long run, for the career. But anyway, I will let you go for right now, and we will examine more of this as we move forward. Like I said, it's an elephant, a bit of an elephant, but at least I think it's important to, even though I went off base a little bit and talked more about, the whole game as it would matter to the rally race. The important part is this segment loop of how it's resolved, and it's rather easy. And there's two different ways of doing it. Is the bell curve direct model, where you use three different charts depending on your posture, whether it's aggressive, balanced, conservative. Balance is going to be the go-to, and you'll use conservative and aggressive to offset some of that, because it can accrue. It can either conservative can throw you back in pace, um, but it will save you in stress, and aggressive can throw you up in pace, but at the cost of at the detriment of your team. Accruing pace, which accrues wear, that rolls from rally to rally, and it builds up. So you want to last for the long run. But anyway, I will let you go for right now, and we'll catch up on this later on. Take care, all. Bye bye.